Episode 9.
Hey-oh.
Should have been, again, it should have been episode 19.
Ooh, perfect. Jamie recycling his jokes.
There we go. Well, I never recycle my jokes.
You always got such fresh ones.
Yeah, so fresh ones. Well, my dick jokes are never the same.
No, they're always a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like every dick. Just a little different.
Right.
So anyways, on this episode, we got a new host. You guys might hear him. You might hear his voice, a little giggling. His name is Brom.
I have not made a single noise yet. But
There you go.
I can give you a little giggle if you need it.
Yeah, dude, give us your best one.
That's all right.
You son of a bitch.
All
right.
right. Just to ask, since Alex declined the nickname of Mustard Man, can Brom be Mustard Man?
Ooh, you do not want to upset the Mustard Man.
No? Oh, man.
I'd gladly accept that mantle if you're giving it, but if Alex is not willing to part with it, then
That's Alex's gift to give.
What part of the submarine hierarchy is Brom? Because we got the backbone, we got the El Capitan, we got the brain, we got the other.
It should
part.
just be the Mustard Man.
Really. I don't know.
That should be Alex. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And then, but what is Brom?
The reactor?
He could be the reactor.
The scope?
He could be the son. Do we have anyone who's sonar yet?
No, we don't.
No.
Yeah.
We don't have good old good ears.
What was a nickname? A sonar? What a nickname for a sonar guy? Like in Down Periscope, what'd they call the guy? Was his name just Sonar?
I think it was.
Oh man, that's a bad nickname.
Yeah, that's not a good nickname.
Well, whatever. We can work it. Workshop it.
Yeah, we got
it.
time. But so anyways, this week, guys, I was a little unfaithful to submarine movies, and I watched a different kind of film.
Oh my god.
Jamie just like popped up above the pop filter and like looked
what?
me in the eyes. You guys have seen the movie 10 Cloverfield Lane?
I have not.
yeah,
I have.
just watched it last weekend.
Oh, all right. So this doesn't have anything, I guess.
Was that in preparation for Cloverfield Paradox?
I did not even know Cloverfield Paradox was coming out. I don't know if that was like something that they announced on the Super Bowl and it was a surprise to everybody, but it was a surprise to me. I watched it the day before that announcement. It was Saturday night.
Yeah, I think it was a surprise because the movie wasn't originally a Cloverfield movie.
Really?
But then they,
Really?
Then they turned
Yeah,
into
it was
a
called the
Cloverfield movie.
God particle.
Yeah, it was when I had seen it scheduled to be released under that name, and then they made it into a Cloverfield movie.
Huh.
I was
They kind of
thinking,
shoehorned it into it.
Yeah, I was thinking the whole time that it didn't really feel like a Cloverfield movie at all, and they just kind of tacked on the monster at the end.
Oh, yeah, they did. They even said they did the reshoots of, like, the black guy on Earth. That wasn't even in the original one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new one yet, but I just watched 10 Cloverfield Lane, and in that, what the heck is his name?
John Goodman.
John Goodman. Yeah, sorry. How can I forget his name? He's a doomsday prepper.
Yeah.
And so then I was sitting there watching this, because, they got the shows about doomsday preppers and all that stuff.
Like Roseanne, also John Goodman. That's Doomsday Preppers too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, anyways.
They're rebooting it because of
Yeah,
North
they
Korea.
are.
There we go.
Bring back Roseanne. Do you guys think that doomsday preppers, they just want to be super prepared and hope something doesn't happen? Or do they want something to happen so they can be like, I was totally prepared for that situation?
I think they pretty obviously want something to happen.
Do they?
Yeah. It also is like a lot of like, people who buy into conspiracy theories and stuff, right? And all that's about hoping there's a grander scheme at hand.
Oh, yeah.
Are we allowed to spoil 10 Cloverfield Lane?
Oh, yeah.
Well, but didn't you just watch that?
Yeah, like
So it can't be really be spoiled. I mean, for you mean for listeners?
for our listening audience.
Let's
I don't know.
spoil
It just came out like 10 years ago, or whenever it came out.
Because John Goodman definitely wanted something bad to happen, so he had an excuse to bring that girl.
yeah.
below
Yeah. I was
board.
actually going to say the same thing because in the show 24, there was a doomsday prepper in season 2, I think, and captured Kiefer Sutherland's daughter, played by Alicia Cuthbert, and he definitely wanted the doomsday to happen and have Alicia
really?
Cuthbert in that bunker with him. Oh yeah.
Alex actually got a photo with Kiefer Sutherland.
Congratulations.
Remember that, Alex?
Yeah, voice of Bosco in Marmaduke. I just watched that film. I also no submarines in Marmaduke.
Wow.
Just a big dog and stupid shit.
It wasn't.
Freaking disgraceful.
It wasn't Kiefer.
In what?
I thought it was
No, it was his.
I thought you were saying in Marmaduke.
No,
like,
it was
Kiefer.
it was his dad, Donald. That's who we got the picture of.
Oh, Donald
Donald.
Sutherland. That's
Not
right.
in Marmaduke.
Shoot. All right, and then something else that happened to me this week that's really made me laugh. Jamie and I are in a bowling league together, and so Zach, this really reminded me of a conversation that we've had before, where we talk about accidentally being a dick to somebody.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah, so I did this.
Yeah, so Kyle's one of the worst players in the entire league. Actually, you're probably the worst player in the league.
I would think so. Like I've got the lowest average.
But it's fine. There's only 100 people in the league, so you're just
Right, yeah.
last.
But anyway, there's this position that's up for grabs every year called LVP for least valuable player.
2-time winner right here. I've won it the last 2 years.
Yes. Last year I had lowest scratch score, but Jamie still got LVP.
Thank you.
And so there's this guy I was bowling against, and he's in last place right now, so he's going to get LVP.
Almost certainly going to get LVP.
Yeah, but I was in second to last, and so I was like, guys, I gotta bowl head to head with this guy this week, because it's like a clash of the titans right now.
You have to. It's going to basically determine who's going to be LVP.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he's much older, but so before it starts, I'm like, hey, do you ever check the online standings? He's like, no, I didn't really know we had online standings.
No one does except for us to make sure we're not getting LVP.
And and he had no idea, so I was like, okay, whatever. I'll bowl him, and I just demolished
Yeah,
him.
he's like he informed this guy that he was last in the league, and then proceeded to, and that he was also one of the worst in the league.
Yes.
And then proceeded to kick the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Just destroy him in bowling.
So Jamie sent out a pretty good email because I woke up and my back was really hurting. I was like, hey, anybody see him cut a lock of my hair off and make a voodoo doll and sticking me in the back because my back really hurts? And,
So probably, yeah.
yeah, Jamie's email exactly is probably, I don't think he appreciated you informing him that he was in line for LVP. Then having you kick the shit out of him for 2 hours.
Accidental dick. Yeah.
He also didn't find it particularly amusing when I told him I was the 2-time champ.
I looked him in straight in the eye and was like, I'm 2-time champ, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
As if that would make it better for him being the worst in the league. Oh, good. Same as this idiot. Great.
Nice job there, Kyle.
I know. And so I want to hear from our listeners. If you ever have a time when you've been an accidental dick, go ahead and email us. If they're good, we'll read them on air. Our email address is maceastSecondFloorStudios@gmail. That's MACEAST, the number 2, ND, floorstudios@gmail.com.
And they may as well just all send in the time that they did not send any emails to us as the time that they were accidental dicks, because no one is sending emails for this.
What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the 8th wonder of the modern world. Mac East Second Floor Studios takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains, Alex the Thoughtful, Jamie the Brain, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion. I think it's about time. We should probably tear right into
We gotta
this
close the hatch.
movie.
Dive.
And we're also going to be kind of shepherding you guys through these a little bit faster than usual because we realize some of our recaps can get a little out of hand. So
After
we'll do
we
our
spent
best.
9 minutes talking about nothing.
It's true. I actually
is
was thinking
true.
the same thing. We
Yep.
got this 20-minute introduction before we now can only recap the movie for 20 minutes.
Yes, exactly. So, all right, let's get right to it. The movie we watched this week, what is it, Alex?
K19, The Widowmaker, starring Harrison Ford and Liam Neeson.
Ooh.
That was Harrison Ford? No, I'm just kidding.
That was Harrison Ford.
It was his young brother, Jim Ford.
All right. So we open with a little bit of text on the screen again, a la Hostile Waters, kind of telling us that there were tensions at this point, real tensions.
Yes, and that Russia can destroy the world 2 times over, but hey,
Yeah.
U.S. can do it 10 times over.
Yeah, so they're really looking to up their game a little bit. They want to make sure that they have the same power. So
And I loved it because when you start this movie, you are immediately on a submarine.
me on a submarine and immediately immersed in Russian accents, the subtlest they can find.
Mm-hmm.
What was actually shocking is I had heard so much is made of Harrison Ford's accent in this, and
Like in a
frankly,
good way?
frankly, all of the accents in this as being horrible, right?
Oh yeah.
But I was actually kind of shocked that I had just assumed there was no accents at all. So you'd have Liam Neeson doing like a Northern Ireland accent or whatever he is, and then Harrison Ford doing an American, and that's what they were making fun of. But they all kind of did the same accent, which was just a very, very subtly Russian accent.
Mm-hmm. We should do it for this episode.
Yeah, it wasn't, but I'm telling you, it's not. I wasn't so shocked by it or upset by it. It was subtle, but it was. It was not the worst it could have been. Like,
Right.
if Harrison Ford tried to do a deep Russian accent, that could have been hilarious.
It would have been pretty great.
But he just did a subtle one.
I texted Kyle before this, and I'm like, we're definitely going to touch on how bad the accents were, right?
So Harrison Ford is not in the movie yet. They're doing a test, and it's pretty obviously a test. I mean, they're not launching a nuclear missile in the first 5 seconds of a movie.
It would have been awesome.
Yeah, it would have been awesome. But so, anyways, they're kind of setting up. Liam Neeson is the captain, because his dick is out. Thank you. Not reusing jokes there, am I, Kyle? They go through all the motions, and one of my favorite parts is he kind of elbows the political officer out of the way, just to kind of throw it in to make sure everyone understands how much they hated the political officers. It's it's like a big part of everything you read. Hunt for Red October, the book. In that they make fun of the political officers all day, and a bunch of the other ones. They're just like, look at these jackasses, look at these dicks. If you remember from Phantom, our favorite film, they really made fun of that political officer all day long. So that was like a nice little like introduction to what we were up to, and they kind of go through this whole test, and the circuits fry. And we're revealed that it's a test and that they're building a new submarine and they're really rushing it out to sea, but they haven't really been able to do a good job at getting it up and running.
Yeah.
And Liam Neeson wants it all to slow down, and so they're like, oh, who's responsible for these circuits? And he's like, I am. Write my name down. And so they
Right.
do, and he gets demoted.
Yep, to XO.
Yeah.
And guess who's the new captain?
Yeah, so it's a real run silent, run deep type situation where
It is.
we get kind of like the older sub captain who comes on, but they keep the younger guy who everyone on the sub loves on as the XO. So everyone's like, "You're still our captain. You could take a dick out any time. We'll be fine." And he's
I
like,
got
"No,
that
no,
one
no."
guy who's always trying to get in his head. He's like, you should be the captain.
Really getting into his pants. He's trying to like get his dick out real quick. Like,
Yeah.
"No, you're the captain." He's like, "No, don't.
Stop that.
I'm not. Yeah, it's fine. It's really fine." And so they really want to launch this new sub. It's kind of like state of the art, like whatever. But they're running into all these troubles, and so they bring in this kind of older captain, Harrison Ford, and his background is that his dad was like this this Russian hero, but was sent to the gulag because he eventually was termed like an enemy of the state or whatever. And so like it seems like he's always trying to make up for that. So he's a political tool of sorts. Like he's a guy who's going to deliver because he doesn't want to be the guy who fails Mother Russia in the end. And so, but everyone thinks it's cursed. Like so many people have died building it. So many people have died in like drills of trying to get it up and ready.
Yes.
And then right away, we're introduced to like the doctor doesn't get the right order on the ship.
And you notice? Did you notice what they're loading into that sub?
Oh,
Oranges.
I could have seen bananas too. There were some yellow fruit before. I was like, what are those? They're probably lemons. But I was like, are those fucking bananas? Are those bananas? No, but oranges. I was waiting for them to drop them. I was like, for the love of God, please drop those oranges.
Yes.
No.
Perfect homage.
I would have been great. I would have been like, oh, did Phantom take nothing or take everything from something? Like,
Awesome.
we got to drop oranges just like K19.
That scene was incredible.
Yeah. And so he, like, the doctor's real, like, upset. He's like, I didn't get the medicine. They gave me, like, horse shit, basically. And so I got to run down this thing. And he runs into the street and gets hit by a truck. And he gets killed. And then, almost immediately after, like, get a new doctor on board, they get, like, a random, the guy who's, like, the doctor for the whole base on board. He finds Harrison Ford when he first gets there, finds the reactor guy, the reactor officer, drunk, and kicks him off, but he's the best reactor officer in the entire Russian Navy. But they bring on a Denzel Washington type character.
Yep, no experience.
No
all
experience,
school.
all simulation. Well,
But you know
not
what's
simulation at this
great?
point, but all school.
What was great with the doctor too is we've seen this in people who have ailments they shouldn't even be on boats is he gets seasick.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, they didn't make it a point in the movie though. They should.
No, they didn't. He should have been puking the whole time. I guess eventually everyone was, but.
Yep.
And then to kind of culminate all, they do a christening of the boat, and Harrison Ford gives a speech, and then some random lady goes up and tries to smash a champagne bottle on the hull, and it does not break, and that is not a good sign.
Yeah, somebody's just like, "Oh my God, we're cursed."
Yeah. I thought it was funny. Like, even one of the higher up KGB people turned around and looked at the other captains, and his face was just like, "Oh, that just happened." But then they didn't care. Keep it going.
Keep it going. I mean, of course not. I mean,
That
that'd be
was the
crazy if
most
they were like, "Stop it." Well, you mean when they throw it?
Yeah, that was the most limp-wristed attempt at throwing that champagne bottle against the sub.
I was actually going to say something. If it really was something that was going to freak everyone out, you better put some oomph into that thing.
Oh yeah.
You got to get someone up there.
Is there any reason why it was this woman? Was she somebody special or?
Probably someone high up in the Politburo or whatever they call it.
But they didn't tell us in the movie. She was just somebody there.
It should have been Nolan Ryan or something. Bring in some American fastball pitcher. Throw that thing at it.
That would have been pretty great. Or Kenny Powers.
Right. So anyways, they still launch. Off they go. And the whole point of the mission that they're going to have is everything's up and running and good enough, but they're really doing one simple thing. They're going to go up into the Arctic. They're going to test launch a missile, which would be a simulation of a nuclear missile being launched to prove that they can do it. They want the Americans to see it so that they know that they can do that. And then that's it. That's the entire thing. They need to be able to do just that one simple thing. And so off they go, but Harrison Ford is like drill master general. I mean, he's like Gene Hackman and Crimson Tide. I mean, at this point, we've watched so many.
And Clark Gable.
I know.
Yeah, Clark Gable one for sure.
We've watched so many sub movies that they're all kind of the same. Other than Black Sea.
Yeah.
And so he's like drill master general, and everyone's kind of grumbling about doing all these drills. Like, oh, they're drilling us. And it doesn't help that like they do one drill and a couple people get injured pretty seriously while they're doing it.
Oh,
one guy's
man.
hand gets all mangled. Another guy gets like hit in the head by a torpedo.
Yeah,
a
dude,
fish.
he goes down
Yeah,
hard.
I thought he was dead, but then they were like,
I
nah,
did too.
he's like in the whatever. And so the morale's real down, and you get the sense that Liam Neeson's character is kind of like the good guy. He's everyone loves him and likes him, and he's the real captain of sorts. And they're just like grumble, like,
Yeah.
we really listen to you.
And so here you also see after some of these drills, they're trying to like, kind of enforce Russian, I don't know, like state pride or something. They start showing like videos of the KKK and all this other stuff, and they're like, all
Look
that
at
stuff
how
you
bad.
see, like Leave It to Beaver's American propaganda. They're like, look at all the bad stuff that's going on over there.
Not totally inaccurate. I mean, it's fairly true. Yeah. So anyways, I mean, the other thing they keep on showing is after some of these drills, the reactor guys are like getting a little nervous. Like there's these pressure gauges that seem to like be hopping a little bit. Like you touch them and the thing will move a little bit. And so they're curious of what's going on and a little concerned, but not concerned enough and not experienced enough really to bring it up to the captain as being a potentially serious problem.
Yep.
And so they decide, I mean, at this point, they're getting close to where they're supposed to be launching and stuff like that. And so one of the next drills that Harrison Ford does at this point is he's going to dive. Oh, and he's going to dive deep.
Yes, he is.
Oh, yeah. He's going to run silent. Well, he's going to mostly run deep, but not silent. And
He's going to like 250 meters down.
That's what you think.
And Liam Neeson's like, dude, that's close to, or that's unnecessary.
Yeah, don't do it.
And then they go to 300.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, that's close to crush depth.
Mark it down in the book.
Another
Crush depth.
movie, Crush Depth.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
we got
And
it.
Ford just like looks at him. He's like, I know.
Oh no. The weirdest thing in here, they show actually the hull crushing a little bit. At a certain
Yeah, like
point.
the sail up top is bending in.
And that definitely didn't happen. I mean, they've even said that they've run things in crush depth and nothing seemed to happen. Like I don't think there's ever been a case where they've had a sub that they got back and kind of were able to look at that had physical, evidence of being at crush depth, other than ones that have been crushed at depth, kind of. So I mean, that was a bit ridiculous and Hollywoodized, I think.
Yes. But so then, like immediately after
he's
this,
like, emergency surface.
yep, he's like, we're gonna bust through the frickin' ice.
Yeah.
And they're like, how thick is it? And they're like, well, it's less than a meter thick.
It's just a meter. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I guess it's not too terribly thick.
Sure.
He referenced the weather this time of year. He's like, it's gonna be even less than that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's melting. That was from a week ago. It's totally like just under a meter at that point.
He's like an expert weatherman now.
Yeah, and so they're going up, and they're going up fast, and they're like,
Neeson is pissed.
Yeah,
He's like, this
Neeson's
is
right.
reckless.
He goes back to his bunk and starts crying on his bunk, pretty much. He's like, I don't want to see you. I hate you, Dad.
Yeah.
Shuts the door.
He's got a picture of Harrison Ford, and he's throwing darts at
Yeah,
it.
he's like, fuck you, Dad. I learned it from you. And they're rising, and going so fast, and everyone's real nervous. And they bust through the ice, and even Harrison Ford's like, oh, fuck. Did I, like, overstep my bounds a little bit? But they bust through the ice, and everything seems fine.
Yeah.
But it was, like, really unnecessarily risky, and that's what Liam Neeson, like, Harrison Ford comes over and is like, Liam Neeson, you're going to be in my book when I report this, I said in a southern accent. And
I wish.
and I know, that would have been even funnier. That was so much better. But and then Liam Neeson's like, you're also going to be in my book. Like, we're both writing each other up. I write you up, you'll write me up. Like, I don't give a fuck.
And then they do, and then because they got to launch this missile for the test, they do this missile launch, and I thought this was just awesome. Like the way it was filmed.
It actually
was
it
cool.
reminded me a little bit of Phantom as well, because they didn't actually launch the missile, but there was something, I think it was all like in their heads what they were imagining was happening, and it was somewhat similar, kind of the missile going off and launching out of the sub.
This one I thought was cool because they zoom out, all you see is like the sail sticking out of the ice, and then just looks like some kind of meteor shooting away from Earth, but just wham, takes off. It's freaking awesome. Then they all play soccer.
Yeah, so they're all playing.
Harrison Ford's like completely vindicated at this point. At this point, I'm thinking like I'm surprised Harrison Ford signed on to a movie that required this much full frontal male nudity.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's feeling himself so much that everyone's like, pull that dick out, pull that dick. He's like, fine, and he pulls out his dick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Flops it on the side of the boat.
He's like, I'm your captain now.
It gets
baby.
stuck because it's cold. 10 minutes scene trying to get
it off. That was most of the movie.
Yeah.
But
it's like Joe Dirt where the dog's balls get froze.
But it's true. I mean, it's similar in some way. It's similar to Run Silent, Run Deep in that, like, he's this drill master. But then when they do something that's really extraordinary for them, I mean, at that point, the crew is basically like super jazzed. Like, they're really happy about what they've done. They're playing soccer. They're really psyched. But Liam Neeson and some of the other officers are not as thrilled. I mean, similar to Run Silent, Run Deep, they were kind of like, what does this really mean, and why did we do that? And in the end, we get an idea, which is that Harrison Ford didn't want just to be a test. He didn't want to be a guy who just wanted to test. He wanted this to be a wild success, and such a wild success that they were then sent out immediately to be part of active duty. And that's exactly what happened. They're told to go to the U.S. coast in between Washington, D.C. and New York City and kind of hang there and kind of, I mean, metaphorically pull out their dick to the United States and be like, look what we're hanging right now.
Yeah, and they're like, if you're going to launch at us, look what we got sitting right outside one of your largest cities and your capital, by the way.
Yeah, so they're kind of going, their course goes right by a NATO base, and that's a little important for the later stuff because as they kind of head that way, that the problem with the reactor finally comes to a head, and they get a rupture in the coolant system, and everything goes to shit basically. I mean, they're gonna melt down in a matter of hours at this point. And so everyone's freaked out because what are they supposed to do at this? They need to somehow fix this thing, and if they can't fix it, they need to scuttle it and get into boats and get in contact with the NATO and kind of give up, which no one wants to do. So the only option they have, and they've decided they have basically two options. One is scuttle that boat, or two, they can try to put their fresh water supply into the reactor.
But they have to kind of like jerry-rig this whole piping system and do all these welds to get it to feed into the reactor.
Which means they have to have people go into this reactor that's melting down. So really high radiation.
Yes, and they don't have radiation suits because the warehouse when they left dry dock didn't have them. So all they have is chemical suits.
I think that would have been an important fact to know when they were taking orders from Moscow. And they're like, well, can we actually stop back at home real quick? And maybe pick up like the many supplies that we don't have right now. Like even the backup system for the coolant didn't work because they left so quickly. They didn't have radiation suits because they left so quickly. There's like a million things that they didn't have because they left so quick. Oh, their main source of communication malfunctioned because they didn't have like a sealant for when they dove after surfacing, so that got all fucked up.
Yeah,
so they were screwed.
But so when they show the first two guys walking in the reactor, you kind of know it's going to be bad news.
It's gonna be real bad
because you start hearing these like bells just tolling. And you're like,
oh yeah.
those guys are going to die.
And it's weird too because they're like, oh, these suits aren't going to help at all, and they're like,
Liam Neeson refers. He's
tell
like,
it to him.
he's like,
For
we
the
might
love
as
of
well
God.
just wear raincoats.
Yeah, just tell it's gonna work. It's real. It's kind of pretty sad. So like they have 3 groups of people going to do it, each a series of welding, and there's 2 people who volunteer from Third Watch and Reactor because they feel like it's their fault that they didn't catch this earlier. It was
Right.
their watch when they discovered or when the thing blew, the coolant system blew. So they feel like it's their fault. They should have seen it, and so they volunteer and they get totally fucked up, and they come out and
They look
everyone
like the
is,
living dead.
yeah, thank God the second crew didn't see them first because they went in. They're fine. But third crew, which involves the reactor, the
Peter
inexperienced,
Sarsgaard.
Peter Sarsgaard, he's like, what the fuck? Oh my God. And I would not have a different reaction. I'm like, I would have been him. That's me. Like, I am not going in there. First of all, if they had a vote, I would have been like, scuttle this boat.
Yeah.
I'm getting in this life thing. Scuttle this boat. Scuttle this boat. They're like, but run Mother Russia. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about Mother Russia. I don't give a fuck about anything. I'm getting in this light boat. Scuttle this boat.
Peter Sarsgaard, really our only hint of a love story in the movie. We get to see a scene early in the film where he departs for the ship and leaves behind the love of his life that he's going to marry when he gets back.
Yeah, I did find it weird the 20-minute scene they had in the middle of him masturbating to a picture, but it was necessary to the story. Really,
It really was.
Yeah.
Well, they had to get that Jergens product plug.
That's true. Anyways, so he totally chickens out, but again, don't blame him. You are dying. Like if you go in there, you are dead. So I'm not necessarily blaming him, but someone else, the chief of the boat, kind of goes in his stead, and they run in there and they finish the job and they're able to close it up and seal it off, and they're kind of running okay.
Yep. And then Ford is like, all right, we got to turn this GD thing around.
Yeah.
Like, we got to go back to base, but they're just crawling.
Yeah, so I mean, Neeson still has a problem. One, he kind of thinks they should just go to the NATO base, which is pretty close by.
But they'd have to surrender themselves.
They'd have
to
to
the
surrender
Americans.
themselves. They could scuttle the boat still, but they'd have to surrender themselves. And, Harrison Ford doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to be a traitor like his dad was perceived to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, no, we're going to go back. But they're crawling. They're going like 5 knots, like just super duper slow, asking for trouble, asking for it to
Yeah,
break and melt down
and
again.
above water too. Like they weren't even
Yeah.
under. Yeah.
So he's Liam Neeson's pretty pissed, and so are some of the other crew people as well. Like they're really being put in danger for the
Right.
sake of the boat and for the sake of the country.
And so at this point, I mean, the radiation levels are rising so much inside the boat that when they're surfaced, Ford's like, everybody like who's non-essential right now to running this, get outside and get as far away from this
Yeah.
as you can.
So people are just like hanging on top of the boat as they sail along, and there's starting to be discussions of a mutiny.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This is the guy who's been putting thoughts in Neeson's head the whole movie.
Yeah, he's
The
like,
dude.
he keeps on trying to get that dick out, trying to be like, you're our captain, and Neeson's like slapping his hand away, like, no, like I'm not your captain, it's fine. But so he kind of collaborates with the political officer, like, you have the authority to relieve the captain of his duties. When the time is right, you got to do it. So anyways, they end up being seen by a U.S. destroyer, and the destroyer's there, and they didn't know it was a U.S. at first, but then they find out,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're like, okay, we could surrender right now. They have to help us. We could scuttle the boat, get into life rafts, and they could help us. And Ford's like, hell no, I'm not doing that. At the exact same time, the reactor fails again, so things are really going south, and then a fire breaks out as well.
Well, yeah, because they have
So
to
everyone's-
surf, they have to
yeah.
dive
They're
again.
going to dive again. They're going to basically dive to get away from the U.S. destroyer, and because of the reactor,
Yeah.
they don't want to blow up everything basically on the surface.
Some guy jumps off the top. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm not going back in there. And then the
I would've
fire
loved-
does randomly break out.
Yeah, I would have loved to see the second story for that guy as he like swims to the destroyer. It's like, and then gets pulled on board, and we see his rest of his life in the United States.
He's in-
Well, no, that fire broke out. That fire broke out because that other guy tried escaping too. Once the hatch was already down, and they were trying to settle him down.
Yeah, so that one guy jumped off the boat. They start to dive, so they close the hatch, and another guy tries to get out, and they knock over or light the buckets of fuel on fire that
Right.
have been kind of sitting around.
Well, that was the fuel. That was the fuel from the missile because to get the piping for the water system, for what they jerry rigged, there was a leak from that.
Yeah.
So then they just put the fuel into the bucket. So that's where it was from.
And so Neeson goes off to help fight this fire, and they kind of get it under control. But at the same time, this is when the guy acts, and he pulls out a gun and says, "You've been relieved of your duties and handcuffs Harrison Ford to a piping system or whatever."
They just leave him handcuffed in the bridge.
Yeah.
And because so
Yeah,
this,
they probably
this
should
goes
have.
on-
They probably should have done Crimson Tide. Put him in his room.
Yeah.
Everything would have been a little bit better, probably.
They did this without Liam Neeson's knowledge because
Right,
Liam
yeah.
Neeson was going down to like help turn on the fire suppression system in case things really got out of hand.
Yeah.
And so when he comes back up to the bridge because they're calling him,
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey, you're not the captain."
Yeah,
And
you're not
he's
the captain. And they're like, "Quickly, take out your dick." And Liam Neeson's like, "Oh yeah, no, totally, I totally will.
But just give me
Definitely-
that gun
I will
first."
definitely take out my dick, but I need a gun first, if you know what I mean. Like, I definitely need a gun before I'm going to take out my dick. Like, I can't just have a dick out and, like, no gun in my hand. Like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So here's a gun. And I also need those handcuffs keys. Like, I definitely need those, too, before I take out my dick. Like, okay, cool. Yeah, here's the handcuff keys.
Yep.
And then he's like, "You're under arrest. I'm not your captain. This guy is." And then he... first he takes out Harrison Ford's dick and then unhandcuffs him. And it's a little weird why he chooses that order, but
Yeah.
like
He's like, he just could have let him do it on his own.
it could have, but
But
no.
it was more of like, "You're welcome."
Yeah, exactly. He's just like letting him know he believes in him as a captain.
Great.
Um,
So glad this is what it's devolved into.
what our discussions
Yeah.
into just multiple dick jokes all the time. It's a helpful tool for display
It
to
is.
conveying what exactly happens
Yeah,
in these movies.
establishing dominance in
Yeah.
a sub.
So, I mean, we kind of get a hint of that Liam Neeson's going to do this because Harrison Ford's kind of saying, like, you guys don't know what you're doing. Like, this is the wrong time to be taking command from me when we're supposed to be diving. Like, you don't really understand why we're diving. And so you don't understand, like, what's going to happen right now. And so Liam Neeson kind of explains, like, we have to dive, but you have to ask the crew. You have to make them believe why it's important that we do this.
Mm-hmm.
And he explains that basically they're diving so that if it does go catastrophically wrong, if they can't fix it, that the explosion won't destroy everything and set off a conflict,
Right.
a nuclear conflict between the United States and Russia.
And so with the reactor temperature rising, Peter Sarsgaard character
He
is finally
independently goes in
redeemed.
there, yeah.
He's like, "All right, I got to fix this thing." So he goes in.
It's also probably like, I'm probably going to die anyways.
right.
So
I might
better
as
head
well
in
try
here.
to do something about it. So he goes in there, and then Harrison Ford comes down, and he's like, "Where's that guy at?" And the guy's like, "Well, he's been in there for like 18 minutes."
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, total beast mode, just opens the door, no suit on, goes and grabs him, rips him out of there.
Yeah.
And it's all fixed.
Yeah, so it's all fixed. So he's like, okay, basically we're fucked. But they start to see the temperature going back down, and Peter Sarsgaard has done it. So they're able to kind of get everything under control. They surface again, and Harrison Ford's like, okay, I'm ready to do this. Get back in contact with the U.S. destroyer. We're going to give over the crew. We'll scuttle the boat. I'm going to stay on. I'm going to scuttle the boat. Oh, okay.
we got
So
2
we're doing
minutes to
pretty
wrap this
well.
up,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're doing pretty well. And so
I really like that. That's a great
That's our
feature there, Kyle.
that's our
Yeah.
submarine
That's
sonar
my
letting us
phone
know
timer.
that the enemy, our greatest enemy, the clock, is nearby.
Very nice
and-
addition.
Yeah. And so he's like, okay, we'll surface the sub and we'll get this U.S. destroyer to help us. So they surface the sub and he's like, I'll scuttle the boat. You all can leave. And he's like, well, you don't have to. And they kind of have having all these cutscenes to Russia. And basically Russia's been they're going to send like a Russian sub over to rescue them as well. They kind of had an inkling that something must be wrong. And they unbeknownst to the crew, they had sent a sub over to kind of find them. And so this sub surfaces right before they're going to go and scuttle the boat, and they're going to rescue them instead. And so they kind of say to Russia, like, oh, permission to board this submarine. And Russia's like, nope, stay on that submarine. You're going to have an escort and get towed back to Moscow, but you have to stay on the submarine. And Harrison Ford's like, fuck that.
It's like, everybody's dying on here.
Everyone get onto that bus. So they just abandon the ship and still get it towed back, but they're like, hell no, we're not going to stay on this.
And so then they show, Harrison Ford's in some kind of like court-martial
There's
hearing.
like
and
20 goddamn minutes of the end of this film.
Yeah, it
They
was
could
kinda odd.
Just cut that thing.
They
I don't
really could have
get
ended it. But Neeson defends him. He's like, it'd be an honor to serve under him again. And then there's like a flash forward to where the Berlin Wall falls, and they're 28 years older, and all of a sudden his whole crew's in a graveyard, and just they end the movie by drinking vodka.
Yeah, and they say, one more time. And Harrison Ford's like, okay, and pulls out his dick one more time.
Yep.
That's how it ends.
And that's about how the movie goes.
Yep.
The liver spots on that final dick scene were just really impressive makeup.
I was gonna say, yeah, it actually was probably where you felt like most of the budget probably went, right?
Yeah.
So that final dick. $25 million for Harrison Ford, $25 million for that final dick.
Craziness. All right, so let's go around. Let's see here, Alex. What'd you think about this, ratings wise?
I love this movie. I don't know. I grew up watching it. I'll give it like an 8.8 out of 10 or 12.
Ooh, really, he's always doing the odd numbers.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it. The cast is great. I know you guys already said that their Russian accents were really bad, but I mean at least they tried. Better than Phantom, where they didn't try at all.
Yeah, I was surprised at how I thought they were going to be either really bad attempts at an accent or like Phantom, nothing. But it wasn't. There was something. They were doing something. It just wasn't good accents. I don't know. I wasn't so like upset by them. I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't upset by it. I mean, if it was really super bad, it would have taken away from the movie. I mean, overall, the first hour and like 20 minutes, it's just regular submarine stuff that we've seen from other movies. And, once the meltdown actually happens, then it really does get suspenseful and you're kind of on the edge of your seat, like trying to figure out, okay, what's really going to happen. And so I like it. I like the suspense, them being trapped underwater and these kinds of things. I think I've said that before in other movies. So yeah, I really like it. I'll give it like an 8.8.
All right, dude. Solid rating. Solid rating from the Mustard Man.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. We're getting this nickname going.
Yeah. You have any, what's your favorite kind of mustard? I know it's kind of off topic, but you like that like normal French's just yellow, or do you like a good stone ground or a Dijon or a honey?
I could eat any of them.
You're talking to the Mustard Man.
Yeah.
Grey
That's right. You probably
Poupon.
just
My least favorite is honey mustard. I'll put it that way. I like giving
really?
honey a lot. So
He has no response for Grey Poupon, but he's just like, I hate honey mustard.
yeah.
All right, who's up next for the rating?
Zach, what do you think about this movie?
What do I think about this movie?
That's what he said.
I love that because that's like what they told you to do in like high school
Yeah.
when you're answering a question. Like start out by like
By repeating
letting
the
him know.
question.
Yeah, repeating the question. Perfect.
All right, so my thoughts on K19. It's not as good as I was hoping it would be. I had it kind of built up in my head that this movie was supposed to rock my socks. Instead, it just knocked my socks around. I definitely like that it was Liam and Harrison together. If it was two no names, I definitely would have dropped my score here. I'm going to give it a 7.5 inch. It was good.
That's higher than I thought you were going to give it.
I was between 5.5 and 7.5, but I'll give it the upper just because I really like both those actors.
Okay.
The scenes I liked the best were those intense scenes when they were having to do the repairs and you didn't know what was going on, because I didn't realize, I didn't know the history behind it or anything. So when they started going in there with the radiation, I was like, dude, this is about to get real crazy, like that scene from The Rock when the radiation's popping them. Remember that scene, guys?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good movie. But
Is there a submarine in that one so we can watch that one?
yeah, I would love to do that.
There should be a submarine escape scene from Alcatraz in that. I would
There
hope.
should be.
man.
Well, they have those little mini hand
They got
sub
little
things,
hand
right?
ones, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that considered a submersible? No, not really.
Probably not.
But I didn't mind it. I like, the actors were good. Some of the scenes were intense. I feel like the last half an hour dragged, but
Yep.
I did watch the movie at 1.25 times the speed to get it in
I was
today.
thinking the same. I was thinking of doing the exact same thing. I was like, I bet I could watch this at 1.5 speed.
I
I couldn't get it to
yeah.
work on my computer.
So, 7.5, done.
It is a long movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Who else we got?
All right, Brom. What do you think
got?
about this?
All right, so I'm starting to flesh out my spectrum of sub movies here. I did watch Black Sea, which you covered in the previous episode. The K19, the Widowmaker, is going to come in at a 7 inches out of 10 for me. Harrison Ford, Liam Neeson, awesome duo here. Almost one of those cases where you don't even know who to list first. You got just two superstar actors, working with each other here on this. And the accents really did bother me, though. I was like, I was ready for it when Harrison Ford first showed up. I'm like, oh, he's going to be Russian. I didn't know anything about the background of this story or this movie, so he could have been like a American, submariner or something like that comes into the story here. But no, he ends up being a Russian captain here. So I was ready. I was excited to hear it. The first bits of dialogue, and it was kind of a letdown. They just kind of like papered over it. I think Liam Neeson did sort of the same thing. You could still hear sort of his Irish accent, and it kind of threw me. But I mean, it didn't ruin or derail the whole movie or anything like that. But they could have done with a few more Russian actors to give it a little authenticity. But right down the list, it was all English and American actors. But ultimately, a great movie. Awesome to this was all based on a true story, right? I mean,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It is similar in a lot of ways to Hostile Waters, and I'll
Yes,
explain
it
that a
is.
little bit later. So it's kind of a story told kind of by a lot of interviews with the Russian side of things. The American Navy is generally more clammed up about some of these things, and the Russians have been a little more open since the fall of
They
the
don't care.
USSR. Yeah.
Like, whatever, that was all in the
So
past.
Hostile Waters was almost entirely from their viewpoint, and this one is almost entirely from a memoir that one of the captains wrote.
yeah. Well, I enjoyed it. Again, 7 out of 10 for me.
Cool.
All right, so I'll let the captain go last, and I'll go next. I was kind of waiting for everyone else's scores because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to give it. I've been trying to keep things pretty flat. I don't know if I've ever done half inches for these guys, but I think I'm gonna do it this time because I don't think this is a 6-inch for me. I think that's too low, but I don't think it's a 7-inch. It's a little high, so I'm gonna go in at 6.5. I actually was disappointed by this film. I was expecting to really like it, to think it was like underrated. It's a 60% Rotten Tomato film. I thought, okay, maybe it just was just a little ahead of its time. Catherine Bigelow since then has an Oscar-winning director, multiple Oscar-nominated director, and I just thought, well, maybe they didn't understand what she was up to or her style to give it its full credit or whatever. But I thought this was slow as shit. That first hour where they were just doing a test, I was like, I don't even know why I should care about this motivations or what's going on. Like, they're doing a missile test. Like, fine. Like, it's not
just freaking do
it's
it.
not even the same as like doing drills and during Run Silent Run Deep, where you're like, okay, yeah, they're running drills because they're going to be going after this, Japanese sub commander or destroyer commander that they're interested in sinking. But
Right.
like this, you didn't even understand. I mean, I get in some ways it was like Crimson Tide in that way, but at least in Crimson Tide they were going on patrol when there was an actual conflict going on in Russia. This was nothing. Nothing was going on.
I got the sense that this was all sort of embellishment. It seemed to me like maybe the nuclear meltdown was really the only interesting that happened with this whole story in real life. So they had to add something to spice up and basically make a film out of it.
Yeah, but it's an hour and a half film stretched out to 2 hours and 17 minutes by adding all that stuff in, and then they add this whole end to it as well. Like, it basically has about 45 minutes to an hour of interesting, kind of fun, suspenseful stuff to it, and then more than that is not that. So I was kind of surprisingly bored by it. Although I didn't think the acting was, or the accents were as bad as I thought they were going to be. So the acting overall was actually a surprisingly better part than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, I'm a little down on it.
And I don't disagree with that. And Zach, I kind of echo what you were saying with you expected to like it more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I really did.
I mean, you got Harrison Ford and Liam Neeson, who are just great actors, and I did have it really built up really high in my mind. And like you guys are saying, it kind of drug on. In the end, I was like, just freaking end it.
Yeah.
Like, we don't got to go through this. Like, why are we watching the fall of the Berlin Wall and all that stuff going on right now? But it had a lot of elements I really liked. But at the same time, it did kind of drag things out unnecessarily. So I'm going to go ahead and throw down 6.9.
Wow.
Oh,
Still comes in pretty good.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
all right.
mean, I'd recommend watching it, but
Yeah.
it's not my favorite sub movie that we've watched yet.
No. And it's an interesting. I still think the directing is interesting, and that the story it tries to tell is interesting. It's
Yes.
just, I was surprised at how slow it was. That it wasn't about some conflict or some emergency that happens sooner than maybe an hour and 15 minutes into the film.
Yes.
Man.
And the I even watched the behind the scenes on this movie.
Oh.
Because they were on the DVD. Some of the older movies, they don't care about doing that type of stuff. There's a lot of interesting things with this, but I'll touch on them after you do your trivia and all that stuff.
Yeah,
in case you miss them.
I'm going to be using some of them, I think.
Okay.
But what do we want to do? Do we want to do that one as the next section, or we want to do?
Why don't I actually start with? I'll do Subs Worldwide.
Do it
right now. It's Jamie's favorite segment, guys.
I'm just going to go to sleep over in the corner real quick.
So I, for this movie, decided I would do the K19 Submarine, which is a hotel class.
A what?
Hotel.
Like a hotel.
Like a hotel.
Like one of those things you sleep in?
Yeah, where you go on the counter and they give you a little key card, and not the kind where you get a key and you open right out to the street. That's a motel.
Oh.
Okay.
I would love if there was a motel class.
Yeah.
This is a hotel class.
That's a weird name for a sub.
It is. So these are they're Russian nuclear-powered ballistic submarines. They were originally put into service in 1959. And the very first one that was made was the K19. Dun, dun, dun. So
that's the name of the movie, Kyle.
Oh, I know, right? Isn't that cool? That weird how that worked out. The one that they actually used in the movie is not a hotel class. It is a Juliet class.
Ooh.
But
It's a better name.
They did all sorts of retrofitting and stuff, so it looks exactly like one. But anyway, these things are 374 foot long. They use 2 nuclear water reactors. The speed, when they're surfaced, they can go 18 knots. When they're submerged, they can cruise along at 26, which is pretty fast for these older subs. And it's originally equipped with a D2 launch system. And so this includes 3 vertical launch tubes that were right behind the sail. But so with these, the sub has to be surfaced. So this makes a lot of sense for the movie because this is the first one made. So eventually, all these subs except for one were retrofitted, or not, I don't know, that's not the right word. They were refitted with a D4 launch system so they can now launch missiles while they're 52 feet below the surface. They gave it in meters because they're over in Russia, but I don't care about that. And so to launch, they just need to flood the tubes before they can do that. None of these are even still running. They've all been turned into scrap.
Great.
Yeah. And the original K-19 was decommissioned in 1991, but some of the later ones were even started to be scrapped in 87.
So they still use this after the nuclear meltdown?
This K-19?
Yes.
Yeah, they
the
did.
original
This-
boat, yeah.
This one, yeah. It
Wow.
actually was it was like a shockingly cursed boat of sorts. There was multiple issues, multiple accidents it had with it.
Wouldn't there
A
be a
fire, I
problem
think.
with it being irradiated or anything like that?
They don't care in Russia.
I don't know. I mean, they probably, I don't know what they would have to do with it.
Give it a good scrub down with
Yeah,
some Mr.
maybe.
Clean. Another sponsor.
Yeah. Scrub down your sub.
Need a good sub scrub, Mr. Clean.
All right. That was thrilling. I do love subs worldwide.
Whatever.
So what do we want to do next?
Let's see, Brom, do you got anything for us?
No, I'm workshopping some power rankings, and I'm going to start doing those, but I don't have anything for tonight. I was going to work on one about, films that had 2 co-stars that were, just so, super powered,
Super
basically,
famous.
that you wouldn't know who to list first.
Ooh.
But
This is one of those movies.
Yeah, like
this
Bill
is
and
definitely
Ted.
one.
With
Or-
the guy who played Bill and the guy who played Ted.
Or Face Off.
Right. Oh, Face Off is a real one.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty great movie.
That's a good one. Actually, the previous mentioned The Rock is another one. Is it
Yes,
Sean
it is,
Connery
yeah.
or is it Nick
Yeah.
Cage? Who knows? Or Ed
Or Ed
Harris.
Harris, yeah.
Come on.
I think you got to list Sean Connery first on that. I think they did.
I
right?
think
Ed Harris.
Ed
It's
Harris.
Ed Harris. Is the
Oh,
movie.
really?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Rock.
That was Ed Harris. Great Ed Harris impression.
Oh, my word.
Man, I wish that movie had a sub in it so we could do it. That's got some
Yeah.
great lines.
Alas. Maybe we can make it new edited version with a submarine in it.
Yes, that's what the next season will be about. Movies that should have subs.
Right.
Ooh, that'd be perfect. Alex, do you have any? You got any good news for us?
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be good. I just any news.
News.
Well,
Mostly
okay.
it's not been good.
Yeah, sub news is never really good news.
So, if you may recall from a couple weeks ago, I was telling you guys a story about India and how they had their first nuclear submarine.
And they totally screwed it up. Yeah.
And they totally screwed it up, exactly. Well, turns out China has decided to get in on this. Ooh. And from an article I just found.
You published?
Not that I published. No, sorry, that I found. China has now started making fun of India about it and explicitly calling India's Navy too amateurish.
No.
Posted this in their own, in some Chinese newspaper as well, just going in on it. They said, not well educated and lacked the necessary knowledge to operate advanced weaponry, and just go on to like totally destroy it. They posted a picture of an elephant, which I guess is supposed to be India, holding a submarine and clearly having issues with it. It's pretty funny.
No way.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, they're going in at it pretty hard. So I thought that was pretty funny that for whatever reason, China, instead of trying to help India, nourish these and be, someone that can help them, they just decided to start making fun of them. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then I've got another article that it's not really quite news yet, but in 20 years, they said it will be big news.
All right. So take note, guys.
NASA has actually started to research and develop a unmanned submarine that they will send to Saturn's sea-covered moon of Titan.
Word up.
No.
Yeah.
way.
I'm telling you guys, that is where we're gonna find extraterrestrial life. It is. This is gonna happen. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing news.
So they said that hopefully their timetable is that this thing takes off in 20 years. Right now, they said that some of the biggest problems that they're having is just in terms of they're not exactly 100% sure what it's made of there, what the chemicals are for this water. And they don't know what kind of pressure they're going to be dealing with out there either. So they're trying to simulate some research stuff from this article I'm reading. But that's their plan, that they want to actually send a submarine. NASA wants to send a submarine to Titan. So I thought that was pretty neat.
That's really neat because the thing is like we have underwater volcanoes here on Earth, right? And it's that you have this really deep sea that's really cold, and on somewhere like that moon, it's going to be even colder, right? And it's going to be really, really cold. But they have these volcanoes that kind of heat it up and create its own little world. So you can they've sent like submersibles to these volcanoes, and the life there is like amazing and basically lives entirely around this little volcano. That is where legitimately there could be life on some of these moons. Like if they're not going to be on the surface, it's too cold, they don't get enough sun and all this stuff, but there's this internal heat source that exists, like is in the water, which is basically what life needs, water. And so they could actually find extraterrestrial life on these planets. That's amazing. I'm excited.
Probably going to be
There you go.
single-celled organisms and stuff like that, or do you think they'll find intelligent life?
Not intelligent life. There will not be mermaids on these planets, but there might be.
Man, that'd be
I hope
sweet.
so.
Can't wait for
Some
them to make a
mermen
movie.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Some glistening abs, am I right?
The way Zach was like, yeah.
Yeah, merman. All right, I'm gonna save the best for last. So I mean, unless you don't have Zach facts. Do you
I've
have
got Zach facts.
Okay, so you're going last.
Yeah, you're
I'm going
last.
Oh,
All
okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna start with a little trivia. I'm doing this a little bit on the fly. So let's start this. Okay. So there were kind of two different reports on how the surviving crew felt about this. When they first read the script, they were incensed. They were angry about all the Hollywoodized versions of what had been put in there. They didn't like how the crew, there was like a mutiny. I think that's pretty much every movie you hear. It's like the crew is like, wait, what? There's no mutiny. They didn't like how there was handcuffs and guns involved in the last scene because those are on lockdown. There wouldn't even really have been handcuffs on the submarine, really. And then they didn't like the profane language, not allowed on a Russian sub.
Really?
Yep. And yeah, they didn't like the fact that there was a drunk crew member that was kicked off. Yeah, and they didn't like the insubordination, the general insubordination of the crew. But then all the reports say that they were actually a little happier with the movie once it came out, once they understood that it was kind of for entertainment value that these things were added.
Right.
Because they felt like it was a pretty good representation of what had happened.
It's not a documentary. as
Right.
some call it.
And so the other thing was directors and producers, which I think included Harrison Ford.
He was an executive producer
Yep.
on it.
They were the first Western civilians ever allowed inside the Russian naval base on the Kola Peninsula, where we see them showing up. So they actually got to see some, pretty top secret stuff.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, when they got to doing some of the research for this movie. Let's see, what was another one? This was a good one. So you know how it glowed blue, like the liquid?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
In the nuclear reactor.
Oh
room.
yeah, okay.
So that's a real thing. It's not just for Hollywood effect. So that's an effect called the Cherenkov effect, and it happens with radiated water, glows blue.
Wow.
And they, in order to simulate it, they poured a bunch of tonic water into the water, and that has quinine in it. And so by using UV light, they were able to make it glow blue.
No kidding.
Yeah, so that's like a real thing. They tried to be real accurate and did a little movie magic to make it that way.
That's pretty cool.
Yep, another one. Fourth fact before I get to my fifth alternate casting section of it. The fourth one is that Harrison Ford was paid $25 million for this role. And there's a funny story of a cinematographer was shooting a scene, and they were trying to figure out what Harrison Ford's eye line was. What was he looking at? He wasn't looking at the camera. He wasn't looking at another character. So the cinematographer was like, "What are you looking at?" And he said, "I'm staring deep into my soul." And he said, "Well, where is it?" And he goes, "My soul is buried under a pile of money." So it seemed like Harrison Ford was not particularly happy with how things kind of turned out with this film, but he did get paid $25 million, which was 1/4 of the budget. So that's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts. A fourth of the budget.
Yeah.
How much did Liam
especially-
Neeson get?
Liam Neeson wasn't a huge star at this point. So I don't know. I don't know what he would have gotten for this.
I'm gonna guess probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, something like $3 million. I don't know.
Which that's insane that's a quarter of the budget.
Yeah.
Because I was watching the behind the scenes, and some of the stuff that they did for this movie is wild. Like I told you they didn't use a hotel class. They used actually this Juliet class.
Yep.
So they found this boat in St. Petersburg, Florida, in dry dock. Thing was just basically like totally rusted out. They had to bring in a team to make it seaworthy. And so they took it up the coast to Canada somewhere, and then they didn't want it to be the Juliet class. They wanted it to be true to form, so they wanted it to look like the actual K19. So they had to add like over 100 foot onto the exterior hull. They had to totally change the sail, but they also had to make all this stuff like seaworthy because they're out filming at sea for this movie.
Yep.
I mean, there's no way that's cheap. And then also for the movie, they needed a fleet of, they had like, well, all the things that they were filming, and then they had 27 other like watercraft for this movie. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a really high budgeted film.
Yeah. Okay, and then for my final fifth of the trivia, I think we all know that this stars two major actors, Liam Neeson and Han Solo. I'm not sure if anyone's aware of what film series they both were involved with.
Mm-hmm. Leprechaun, right?
Yes, Leprechaun. No, they were both involved with the Star Wars series.
Okay.
Yeah, Liam
Liam
Neeson playing Qui-Gon Jinn, and Han Solo playing someone. Yeah.
Sure. You mean Harrison
Harrison
Ford.
Ford playing Han Solo.
Han Solo playing Harrison
Ford.
What?
So here's So who would have been maybe potentially better cast as the lead? Let's say for Harrison Ford's role. His counterpart in Star Wars, Billy D. Williams, aka Lando Calrissian. What do you think of him in the lead role?
No.
No, I don't think so.
You're not into that?
No.
Interesting.
I'd pay to see it.
Are there black Russians?
Of course there are. Come on. Okay. What about Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill?
Ooh, no.
I don't think so. No.
Not for me.
Not into that?
No.
Okay.
Over Harrison Ford?
What about Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I think
I'd always watch him in something.
I think he would have been too young. For
Well,
this
obviously he
role.
would have been too young then, for sure.
Yeah.
But in a
could-
reboot, I could see Ewan McGregor do it.
In a
Reboot.
K19 reboot series.
Reboot of K19. Yeah.
Or the sequel that's coming out in 2021, K20 The Widower, all-female cast.
Ooh. I think I got a good one for you guys. I think you're gonna bite in this
Is
one.
it Samuel L. Jackson?
No, it's Hayden Christensen.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Hey, whoa, whoa! You guys don't like that one? Weird. Who would have thought? And then you could do one of the more recent ones. What do you think about Adam Driver in this role?
No.
Adam Driver's really good.
He's real handsome. He's a handsome man.
But would I put him in that role? I don't know. I like him in everything I see, but
I do have one more though. This might get you. What about Ed Harris?
duh. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. There you go.
Yes.
Oh, and then I got to do. We're gonna take this to the Phantom Zone.
Oh, here
So
we
we're
go.
gonna engage the Phantom. We're gonna try to get back to the Phantom from this using only Submarine films.
And I
Get
think
actors
it's
from Submarine film to Submarine film.
It's probably very doable because we've taken movies from like the 50s to the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, sometimes it gets pretty easy, especially since I've been doing it for so long. What's even funny is one of the trivia in this is about how one of the actors in this film was also an actor in Hunt for Red October, but I haven't yet. Yeah, but I haven't yet gone to the trouble of actually getting from Hunt for Red October to Phantom. I don't think so. I was like, yeah, fuck it, and went my own way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys should know who that person is, though, right?
I think it's in the trivia who it was.
It was the KGB guy at the beginning.
Oh, really?
The old commander guy. That's who it is. He's in both.
Oh. And so I'm going to use Harrison Ford instead, our star. He's in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and in that he rides a submarine to the secret Nazi base. He actually holds onto the telescope, or the periscope.
Oh, I was like, what?
What? Not a telescope. What are they looking at the stars? And then in Raiders of the Lost Ark is Denholm Elliott, who's in a movie called Madame Sin. And in that is Robert Wagner, recently accused of murder, or again accused of murder.
Wow.
Yep. He played number 2 in Austin Powers in Goldmember.
Oh.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a Dr. Evil submarine in that one, shaped like Dr. Evil. And in Goldmember, there's like a spoof of Austin Powers called, I think it was called like Austin Pussy or something. And in that, Gwyneth Paltrow plays the love interest and a cameo. And
Wait,
Tom Cruise plays Austin Powers in the movie within a movie.
That's such a funny scene.
Yeah. So Paltrow is, of course, in Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
Okay.
And I use Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow
You get Jude Law.
for yeah, exactly, for Black Sea. And so from there we can go from Michael Gambon, who was the narrator in Hail Caesar, which is the way that I got from Agent Red to Phantom. And so that'll take us all the way to the Phantom Zone.
Redonkulous.
At this point, I am just building. I think this trail is probably like 18 films long or something.
I
Just
love
actor upon actor upon actor, all in submarine films.
It's great. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
Does not get better than that.
Freaking Phantom Zone. So, Zach, before we get into Zach Facts, I do have something. There's something Bram and I were kind of talking about, which I thought could be I don't know, we'll see if it's a recurring segment or not. But we talked about potential sub sounds. So, it's going to be
Like
called...
trivia? Like you're
No.
going to play music? Oh.
No, this
Okay.
is sub sounds karaoke.
I don't know what it is.
All right.
So,
Go
I
on.
want everybody... I want people to go ahead and give me your best missile launch sound you can do
Oh, Jesus.
into your mic.
So this is, or are you saying that this is a section that we're going to be cutting, or what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
People
might
wanna-
be cutting it.
People want to listen to this?
Probably not.
I don't
There's
think
an
they do.
awesome missile launch scene. So I just want to hear what you
So
guys
you're saying
got.
like a the same as like a
There it
rocket
was.
pack.
Yeah.
If I was rocket pack in a way, like
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
All right, so Jamie got his in.
I want to do it first because I don't care how good anyone else's is. That's basically as good as someone can do, unless someone's really going to simulate a rocket launch with their mouth. I
Well,
highly
we'll
doubt
see.
it.
We'll see. You never know. All right, Bram, go ahead and give us yours next.
I'm gonna be honest, that was better than mine.
That was pretty flipping good.
Yeah, that was real good.
Yeah. And Zach, I know you do a lot of sound effects, so I'm gonna save you for last. But Alex,
okay.
what do you got?
Okay.
Wow, that was a fast one. It's like a tiny one.
Yeah, that's going right past you.
It's like the size. It's like an arrow.
Yeah.
Shot.
It's like if somebody were to shoot like a bottle rocket, right? Well, no, those are high pitch, I guess. But no, it's pretty freaking good. All right, Zach.
All right.
Wait, last.
Hold on.
wait,
I gotta do mine.
Last.
I gotta do mine.
Oh.
I gotta do mine.
It went past my ear, right?
I could hear the water in it though. That was pretty good.
Yeah, thank God we have these pop filters
I
in
know.
front of us. It would have
Would
been.
have ruined the mic.
All right, Zach, what do you got?
Okay.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There we go.
Wow.
Freaking
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
Got
Also
like
does
mine.
beatboxing on Saturday nights.
Just get in contact, whatever this production company name is, at gmail.com. And you can hire him for your party. I should probably learn the name of the production company now I've done 9 episodes.
Yeah, maybe. Wow. All right. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
All right, let's get some Zach facts. I've been jonesing for some Zach facts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
Ooh.
need them. We need them in our lives.
Although I
I don't
guess
know.
I kind of do a bunch of Zach facts. It's just all my Zach facts are about people's dicks being out when they aren't. That's a Zach fact.
That is a fact. All right. So, well, you guys are kind of building me up here. I don't have too many this week,
Oh, no.
despite the length of the film.
Right. And the length of Kyle making extra segments for this podcast.
Right.
So we got to shorten this. Here's 3 more segments.
All right. K19, Zach Facts. Number 1. The director, Catherine Bigelow, spent 2 months testing different fonts for the opening sequence. Fact.
Wow.
Do you know what she settled on in the end?
She did not say.
Oh gosh, it was a nice looking font.
Fact number 2. Catherine Bigelow, the director again, immediately called Liam Neeson for his role after watching Star Wars Episode 1 on VHS.
Very nice.
On VHS, I love it.
Wouldn't it have been? I guess DVDs were out by then, but
They were out, but I mean,
not as popular.
yeah.
I think I may have had the first episode on VHS. I definitely had
remember
all
it.
of the. I had the first 3 on VHS and Betamax over time.
Oh, Betamax. Wow,
Oh, yeah.
Look at you. Yeah, DVDs were very expensive at that point. It's kind of like how I think
Right.
the 4K stuff's come down a little bit, but they're still up there.
Who needs them?
All right. Next one. All of Harrison Ford's costumes came from his own collection. Fact.
Wow. It's interesting that he's so into wearing a Russian officer's
Kind of makes you
costume
wonder, doesn't
most
it?
of the time, yeah. Why does he own a couple of those?
All right. Moving down the list. The reactor officer being drunk was not scripted. Fact.
Oh. Yeah, just really deep in character. Get this guy off here. Well, what?
Is that an emergency recast?
Yep. Yeah.
Like, just include it in the movie. It looked pretty good. That's his reaction when, like, Harrison Ford kicks him or whatever to get him up.
Next one. The mouse in the cage is the same mouse from Stuart Little.
Wow.
Fact.
This was early in his career, though. He wasn't. He was just an adolescent mouse at that point in time.
Stuart Little came out like 2 or 3 years before.
Yeah, I wonder
really?
how much. Do you know how much Michael J. Fox was paid to voice the mouse in this film?
I'd say about $20.
Wow. Okay. He didn't say much.
Yeah. So
Think he-
in a lot of the other movies, like we see people bring a bird or whatever onto a boat.
Yeah.
If I was captain, I saw somebody bringing a mouse, I'd be like, hell no! You get that thing out of here.
Right.
He had
Or
it
just
sitting
take
right
it-
above his face too.
I know, and you just gotta be like crapping on him when he's sleeping. I would just take it and just.
Chuck it.
I can't say that. That's animal abuse.
Oh, yeah.
I'd release it back to Mother Russia.
All right. Next fact.
Wow.
The original movie was 5 hours and 48 minutes.
Ooh.
But when everyone in the test audience fell asleep, they cut it down to 2 hours and 17 minutes when only half the audience fell asleep.
I was gonna say, and then when the audience still fell asleep, they just released it. It was fine.
Dude, I'd believe it. They probably just had a lot more scenes of them like sailing and
Yeah.
trudging along.
Generally being like,
Or they
food's a
they
little
played.
better.
They showed the entire soccer match on top of the ice.
That.
A 90 to
Funny.
90 minute soccer match.
All right, two more.
Wow. We're getting some Zach facts.
Okay, before Harrison and Liam were cast, Steve Martin and Steve Buscemi were in talks for the lead roles.
Wow. That would have been even more high powered.
Steve Martin and Martin Short coming hot off of Daughter of the Bride, or Father of the Bride, rather.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and my final Zach fact for the day. K19 went on to inspire the porn parody I-69, The Widowfucker.
There we go. It's a good ending run. I wouldn't put it past that being a real Zach fact. Not that all your facts aren't real, but this one would definitely be real. I do want to also bring up, and this is not a Zach fact, this is just a regular fact, but I did want to bring up, like, we watch Hostile Waters, not everyone here, but most of us did. Did you know this was inspired by a book, K19, The Widowmaker, The Secret Story of the Soviet Nuclear Submarine. So it's a book.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a memoir of the captain. And the memoir was helped, ghostwritten, I guess, by the guy who wrote the book that Hostile Waters was based on. This is like his specialty, was books like this from interviews with Russian sailors and stuff. And
Wow.
so you can see that these are similar ideas, kind of, the events on a Russian sub. So it was the same guy, same book.
That's what I kept thinking when we were watching. I was like, this is similar things going on in Hostile Waters.
Yeah, and there's a bunch that it's similar to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was glad that they didn't have the, try to tie in the American side like they did with Hostile Waters, where we just see
Right. Yeah.
Martin
yeah.
Sheen every once in a while, and
you just look in the camera like, what am I doing here?
look at that performance.
Why are we
It's
doing this?
electric.
Yeah.
So that's it for episode 9.
I
Thank
think
you
that's
guys
it,
for
yeah.
tuning in.
Thank you very much.
Well, not you. You're part of it.
Oh.
Just saying to the listeners.
Good enough.
Thanks for listening to Submersion. Find us on SoundCloud and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.